Welcome back to another video I have for you guys here today. Today it's going to be my 3,000 subscriber question and answer video. It feels like it hasn't been too long since I made one of these, and the last one was my 2K Q&A, of course. We've been growing a lot since Madden 19 came out, which is awesome to see. Every time I check my channel, I typically have like a new sub or a couple. It's been great, but of course this was all kick-started by Bengal. I really can't thank him enough. I've done it a ton already. And it's just that I will always be appreciative of what he did, gave me a shout out, and I've been growing consistently since that shout out. I appreciate all of you guys too, if you've been here for a while or if you just subscribed like an hour ago, it's awesome that, we keep growing. Of course, thanks to like a bunch of other people who I've done videos with, like Beard Mobox, thanks to him. Saucy Kage, I think that might still be his name. I did some videos with him in the past. He doesn't really upload Madden anymore. Mainly uploads like Naruto, whatever that one game is that's out right now. Shout out to like Not the Expert. He commented on one of my videos once. It's just a big range of people that I would like to shout out who have helped me out and all that good stuff. It's nice to see that stuff. But anyway, I kind of want to refer to the gameplay quick, because what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to throw either 1 or 2 Madden games, depends how long I talk for really here. It's going to be a couple games of my girlfriend playing Madden. I went to go grab dinner one time, and she insisted that she play Madden and record herself playing, so that's what's in the background right now. I think the settings are on like Pro or something, and she chose whatever team she wanted to be. She played against whatever team she wanted to be, and I think it could be a pretty funny background video to have with this Q&A. But anyway, I think that's all the explaining I want to do. Let's get into these questions. The first question here comes from I'm Not the Hacker. It says, can the Detroit Lions become a Super Bowl contender if we lose our offensive coordinator because he sucks really bad? I don't want to have like a definitive answer for this one, because I don't really truly know, because it's kind of hard to tell. But my hunch is saying no. I don't think the Lions are quite there yet. They have some good pieces on their team. Matthew Stafford is still a very good quarterback. Darius Slay is probably the best player on their defense. Ziggy Ansah still isn't bad. But I definitely don't think they are a Super Bowl contender. Even with a great offensive coordinator, I don't think it can be done. That division is really, really rough. You have to go against the Packers, the Vikings, and the Bears, who are kind of emerging as a pretty good team. So, thinking about the division and thinking about the team as a whole, I don't think they would be Super Bowl contenders with a different offensive coordinator. Littlefoot Raptor asks, or not really asks, but just says, Clay Matthews roughing the passer penalties opinion. I don't like these penalties. I think it's making the NFL a little too soft. You shouldn't have, blatant late hits on quarterbacks, or like tackles where it looks like the player is trying to hurt the other player. Like, I understand those, but when a player is falling on the quarterback and he puts too much weight on him, like, I feel like that's not really the fault of the player tackling the quarterback. I don't know the rules, like, specifically. I just know that's kind of one of them. You can't put too much weight or something like that. Like, you can't have, like, all your body weight fall on the quarterback. And sometimes it's just, like, impossible to stop yourself. It seemed like in the Clay Matthews situations, he was already, like, fully committed to, like, tackling the quarterback. It would have been almost impossible for him to lay off. He would have had to, like, brace the ground and, like, straddle the quarterback pretty much and, like, do a push-up almost. But the thing is there, like, you don't want to lay off the tackle, because what if the quarterback just like pump fake the pass and he still has it? You don't want to just not tackle him because you think he threw the pass. Like, you could have just gotten fooled, and you want to kind of make sure you at least sack him. So I'm not a really big fan of the penalties, as are a lot of people. Most people don't like them. JCM Gaming asks me, how salty are you about the Ohio State loss? So for those of you who don't know, I go to Penn State, so I'm a pretty big Penn State fan. The Ohio State loss was terrible. There were so many times in that game where I was just like freaking out, because I was at the game. I have student tickets, so I was freaking out because they scored. They looked great on defense for the most part until they just kind of forgot how to tackle in like the second half. I don't know what was up with that. Ohio State really just kept calling screen passes to the wide receivers or to the running backs, and they just kept working. Penn State did not adapt to the screens at all. It seemed like they called a lot of like zone coverage maybe, or the man coverage, just the blocks were set up really well for Ohio State. I don't know, but they called a lot of screens, and they called a lot of like short passes. Their deep game wasn't really working. Their quarterback didn't look that good. I think he threw an interception, but it was tipped. It should have been caught by the receiver if I remember correctly. But he didn't look that confident, and he didn't look great. His pocket presence was decent. Like, he wasn't getting like too scared and running around like crazy, like frantically. He did keep his composure, but Ohio State didn't really look that great as a whole. I'm aware they didn't have Nick Bosa, like the best player in the nation. That would have made the game a lot worse because Penn State still couldn't get anything going on the ground unless Trace McSorley scrambled. There wasn't too much time for McSorley to throw the ball, but it just wasn't a good performance by Penn State in general. At like the second half, the first half they played well in defense, they played decently on offense, they played well enough on offense to like win the game in my opinion. But then the play calling got a lot worse. It wasn't great most of the game. They kept going with like inside zone runs that just didn't work. I remember one inside zone worked really well. It was like 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13, something like that, and it did get the first down, but then the rest of the game, the inside zone just was not there. I'm pretty sure just Ohio State was not expecting them to run it. That's why that one play worked. But yeah, it wasn't a good football game as a Penn State fan. The last play call was just a terrible one. I mean, I really don't know what happened, why they called that, but I don't know. Maybe they saw something I didn't. I'm sure they did, but it just, from the start, it didn't look like it was going to work. Like, just by looking at the defense, from the stands at least, looking at the defense, if I would have known that they were going with an inside zone, I would have been like, yeah, audible. It didn't look like it was going to be that open. Plus, that play hadn't worked all game. The Buckeyes' D-line was way more dominant than Penn State's O-line, so it just wasn't a good game. The next question is a really short one. It's from Julie Schuster. What is your favorite color? And it's green. That's pretty much all I have to say about that one. Julie Schuster comes back with another question. She says, hey Shrammy, I love watching your videos and you deserve more views and subs. Thank you for that, by the way. My question is, how long have you liked football? I want to say that like I started really watching football when I was like 8 or 9 years old. That's when I like really started paying attention. It was around the time that the Eagles made the Super Bowl in like 2004. I think that was around the first time I truly started like watching. That season I don't remember watching all that much, but then the seasons after that I remember really being into it. But before that, yeah, I wasn't really that big into football. I'd watch with my mom because she was a big Eagles fan. But I think I was more into baseball at that point because my dad would always watch baseball. He was a Jets fan, so like the Jets were hardly ever on TV during football season. So yeah, he just would always watch baseball, and I'd always watch that with him. Jordan Connor asks, what's your favorite play that you've seen in football? I feel like, being an Eagles fan, I feel like I have to say the Philly special, right? Like, that play was awesome. It was really interesting to see that happen. You know, I just didn't expect it. It looked like it was going to be a miscue, right? Because, you know, Nick Foles is trying to adjust the line, looked like, and all that good stuff. I know that play has been, you know, done before. The Eagles weren't the first team to do it. I'm pretty sure the Bears did it on, like, a 2-point conversion or something like that. I don't really remember, but that was probably the best play I've ever seen. That really was just awesome to see. Thinner Gorilla asks me, how do you feel about always stealing the Jets' first rounder? I don't feel any remorse. They don't deserve to have it. Of course, I don't know. That's a funny question, though. AJ Mahomey Reacts asks me, how do you think the Bengals will do? So if the first quarter of the season is any indicator of, you know, playoff success or anything, I think the Bengals could actually do really well this season. I'm pretty sure they're on top of their division. Andy Dalton's looking like a pretty good quarterback. I know he leads the league in interceptions, I think, but he does look a lot better than he did last year. He's going back to like 2015, 2014 for him when he actually had a really good season. He's looking like a good quarterback. Their defense is playing well. They have a great run defense. Tyler Boyd is emerging as like a really good wide receiver. AJ Green's still doing his thing. They kind of show that if Joe Mixon goes down, Giovanni Bernard can step up and be a starting running back. You know, Joe Mixon's already a really good running back. I think their team has a lot of potential this year. We got 2 questions here from Derpy Derp. I'll probably just throw them both on the screen. What is the 3rd letter of your middle name? It's R. My middle name is unrivaled. Yeah, because Penn State. And what are you majoring in at Penn State? So, I think I mentioned this a little while ago. I did a couple videos of me playing like Black Ops 3 Zombies, and I think I said something about this. My old major was secondary ed mathematics, so I was going to be a teacher. But now, I switched out of that. Now my major is pretty much just mathematics. More specifically, it is systems analysis. That's just the appropriate title. But essentially, I'm just taking a bunch of math classes. It's pretty much what's going to happen until I graduate. And then, Derpy Derp also asks, Willie Snead or Bruce Ellington? That's a pretty random question, to be honest. I mean, they're pretty obscure players, but I think I'd take Willie Snead out of those two. I think he's had the most success, and he's proven himself the most out of both of those players. Bruce Ellington has showed, like, some big playability, but Willie Snead, I feel like, has been more consistent, really, especially with his time with the Saints. I mean, I understand he had Drew Brees throwing him the football, but he's still looking pretty decent on the Ravens as well. Maximilian Wendland asks me, can you say something in German? So, before I answer that, I just want to make a comment. I'm pretty sure this guy is German. I think he said that a couple times. But that sounds like to me that his last name would not be pronounced like Wendland. Wouldn't it be like Ven? Wouldn't the W make a V? I'm not sure, but I'm actually kind of curious. So Max, right? If you're watching this, I hope you are. You should comment, like, spell out your name phonetically so I can kind of understand how it's pronounced, because I am kind of curious, to be completely honest. But yeah, can I say something in German? I don't know. Gesundheit? Isn't that German? Or Guten Tag? I don't know. I didn't take German in high school. I took French, actually. Douglas Brown asks, who do you think will win the Super Bowl this year? And how old are you? For the first part of that question, I think the Rams are going to win. Right now, it seems like it could be the Rams versus the Chiefs, which I'd be perfectly fine with. That would be a cool Super Bowl matchup, to be honest. And I think the Rams would come away with that one if they did duke it out. And how old am I? I am 21 years old. The next set of questions comes from Bullet Ant. There's 3 of them. The first one is, what's your opinion on Earl Thomas flipping off his team? Do you think he is justified, or do you think he's wrong? I definitely think he's justified. The Seahawks screwed him over big time. They didn't want to trade him at first, and they didn't want to renegotiate his contract or give him a contract extension. So he was planning on holding out, pulling a Le'Veon Bell and just not playing, but then he just decided to play, and he gets hurt. So he's just really frustrated with the Seahawks because then it ended his season. But I don't think it's that bad of an injury where he can't come back from it like next year. But if it was like a career-ending injury, that would be terrible for the Seahawks because they just kind of made it so he doesn't get paid anymore. I know we're talking about a player who is already rich, but you still, obviously he still wants to get paid more. So I think he's justified for it. I don't really blame him, to be completely honest. The second question, do you think Dez Bryant will find a new team, and if so, who, or will he just retire? I'm not really sure if Dez Bryant will find a new team. He has the talent to be a starting caliber wide receiver, but I don't know if anyone's going to go after him because of, I don't know, he's kind of dramatic, and his social media presence hasn't been great. Ever since he, hasn't been on the Cowboys, he's been, talking about them on Twitter badly and all that stuff. So I feel like, I don't know if anyone really, take the risk with him. I don't know. I don't really like Dez Bryant, so I'm kind of hoping he doesn't, find another team. The third question here says, what are your future plans with YouTube? Do you plan to upload for a long time, or do you ever plan on dropping YouTube for a job or something else? So pretty much, I just want to upload as long as I am able to. I don't think it'll ever get to the point where I get a job one day and I can't manage a YouTube channel as well. Because, I can manage it through college, I can still upload a couple times a week. I feel like at minimum, I can probably upload 3 times a week for as long as I can imagine. But maybe if YouTube ever becomes my job, I mean, I doubt I'll ever get to that point. But that would be awesome, obviously. That's kind of the end goal, because then I can put way more time into it, and it's just, I feel like everybody wants to have a job that they really enjoy, and that's kind of their passion. So yeah, I mean, those are my pretty basic plans, but even once I graduate college and if I get a job, I think I can still handle a YouTube channel. John Fever asks me, who would you rather have in the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady? So obviously, I think it depends on the team you have around him, but I'm gonna go with Aaron Rodgers, I think, because I'm part of the minority, I'd say, who would rather have Aaron Rodgers than Tom Brady. I just think Aaron Rodgers is a more talented quarterback. Obviously, Tom Brady is an amazing, they're both insanely good. It's really kind of hard to debate which one's better, in my opinion, but I would rather have Aaron Rodgers. Christian Pfeiffer has the next question here. He says, hey Shram, been here since 250 subs and I love your vids. Well, thank you very much for that. But he says, who are the top 5 quarterbacks in the league today in your mind? So I already mentioned kind of who I think the best quarterback is, but I think it's Aaron Rodgers. I know a lot of people think it's Tom Brady, but I just think Aaron Rodgers is a bit more talented. I don't really want to go too much in depth on that one. But I'd have Aaron Rodgers at number 1. Tom Brady would then be at number 2, and they are super close. It's almost interchangeable. Number 3 to me would be Drew Brees. I almost think he's underrated in a sense because of the competition he's been against. Since he's been in the league, there's been obviously Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning. All those guys are always listed as the best quarterbacks of the past little while. And I feel like everyone just kind of forgets about Drew Brees, even though he is tremendously good. He's really never had a decent defense. I think last year was the first time he had a pretty good defense, and he took them into the playoffs, and he of course had that heartbreaking loss. But yeah, I would take Drew Brees at number 3. Number 4, I think I'd have Russell Wilson, because he still performs at an elite level with a terrible offense. I mean, they have Doug Baldwin, who is good. They had Jimmy Graham, who really wasn't a great fit for the Seahawks. They've never I mean, they had a run game with Marshawn Lynch. I almost said they never had a run game, but past couple of seasons, they did not have a run game. I mean, Thomas Rawls was pretty decent for his season. Chris Carson was okay last year for the short time he was there. But, I mean, other than Doug Baldwin, there really aren't too many players for Russell Wilson to go through. I mean, there's Tyler Lockett, who has been okay, but he's like a really good special teams guy. Brandon Marshall's on their team now, and they probably have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, and he is still able to make that team pretty good and make it a tough team to go up against. So I would put Russell Wilson at number 4, and then number 5, could be some bias. I don't know. I think I'm going to throw Carson Wentz in at number 5. I think he is tremendously good. He is one of the best escape artists in the NFL. He gets out of sacks and tackles better than like any other player I've ever watched. Deshaun Watson's also very good at that. Cam Newton's pretty good at it, but Carson Wentz also has incredible arm strength. He has great arm talent in general to go with it, and he's also pretty fast. He makes some throws that should not be made, really. Like, he attempts some throws that really should not be made and could potentially be turned over, but then he comes back with an absolute dime and some great decision making. So I think he's probably, in my opinion, the 5th best quarterback. I'm tempted to put Patrick Mahomes in this list, but I don't want to after only the first quarter of the season. Like, yeah, he has been lights out. He's performing like the best quarterback in the NFL. Maybe him and like Jared Goff right now, but I don't think that's enough to warrant him a top 5 spot yet. At the end of the season, I feel like he'll probably be in the top 5. He's probably in the top 10 right now. I feel like I could say that, but I don't think I'm comfortable putting him at top 5 yet. Vicky3 with the greatest picture I've ever seen asks me, love your vids. Thank you, by the way. How did you get your start on YouTube, and how did you get into Madden rebuilds? So this kind of goes into another question I saw. I don't remember exactly who it's from, but somebody else asked me like how I got my start on YouTube. Well, let me find that question quick. The other question is from Brandon865. It says like, what inspired you to do YouTube? The first part of these questions are kind of the same. I mean, Brandon only asks one question, but with Vicky here, the first part of their question is kind of the same. I got my start on YouTube, and like I got inspired to do YouTube based on Call of Duty. So you guys probably don't know this unless you've been a real long time fan, which I highly doubt there's any of those guys left. Or girls, I don't know. But a really long time ago, when I was like a junior in high school, which was, oh geez, how long was that? Like 5 years ago? I was uploading Call of Duty videos. I had been playing Call of Duty like religiously from about 7th grade to about senior year, maybe freshman year in college. I played Call of Duty all the time. That was like the game I played the most. So I always watched YouTube videos of people playing Call of Duty. Like back in the day, my favorite YouTuber was Hutch. He's still up there on my list just because of how influential he was to the Call of Duty community, right? And he made such good content such a long time ago. I remember watching him. I remember watching like Tabe. I think that's his name. I don't know what he does now, but he was like that Swedish dude. I think he was Swedish. I remember watching like Optic, Optic Hex, all those guys a really long time ago. So I always wanted to upload like them and do all that stuff. And then FaZe emerged, right? And I got really big into sniping. I got really big into trick shotting. I kind of followed that wave from like 8th grade to 9th grade. I didn't make any videos at that time, but I would trick shot with a bunch of, friends I met online. I joined a bunch of clans. I changed my gamer tag about 20 times. Probably upset my mom because each time it was like $10, so I spent a good amount of money on just gamer tag changes. So that was pretty much like the start of me really wanting to upload YouTube, and then it took me a really long time to actually get a capture card. I had a Roxio, which is a really low quality capture card. It recorded in like 480p, and I also had a non-HD TV at the time. I had a standard definition television, and I tried to record with that on a standard definition television, and it did not work. I tried that in like 9th or 10th grade maybe, and the quality was horrible. It had a really bad, I remember this, it had like a really bad yellow hue, and it was just really pixelated. It was terrible. I just figured, yeah, I can't upload anything like that, so I waited until I had enough money to get an HD TV. I think I just said HG. I want HD TV. I got one of those, and I recorded some videos, and I was like, alright, I'm going to upload these. This is awesome. And then my laptop was horrible at the time. It was like a $200 laptop. I don't know. It wasn't anything special. I didn't need much of a laptop to get through high school, really. But on that laptop, it was going to take me like a day and a half to upload like a 10-minute video. And I don't think it had to do with my internet. My internet wasn't great, but my laptop, something in it, in the hardware, I don't know how that really works, made it so I couldn't really upload anything. So that took a while to kind of fix. I got a new laptop and I was able to make videos on that. They are horrible. They are terrible videos. They are still on my channel, I think. I kind of keep them there just in case any of my new subscribers just wants to go back and see how bad my content used to be. I mean, my content sucks now, right? But a while ago, it was horrible. I made funny moments videos. I made montages. I made just random commentary videos talking about nothing. I don't know. I was a weird YouTuber back in the day. I wouldn't even consider myself a YouTuber back in the day. I wasn't consistent enough, I don't think. But I gained a bit of a following that way. And then my computer broke, the one I was using for all that stuff. I got a new computer, the one I'm currently using now. I got this before I went into my freshman year of college. This computer has been great so far. It's lasted me like 3.5 years in college so far. And then I got a new Elgato. So I was able to, you know, use my new computer with my new Elgato to make decent quality content. I eventually got a nice microphone, and that's how I kind of got to where I am today. But with the second half of Vicky's question, it says, how did you get into Madden rebuilds? So I pretty much just like started watching Bengal make like Madden 16 rebuilds. I think were the first I watched him do. And I thought they were really interesting. I would do a bunch on my own. On Madden 16, I was terrible at it because I didn't really understand schemes. I didn't really understand why players didn't play well in certain situations. I didn't, you know, understand a lot of that stuff. I didn't understand like cap room too much in franchise, because usually when I'd play a franchise, I would just turn salary cap off. That was just how I did it. So I didn't really understand the realism of rebuilding a team, really. I just watched Bengal do it, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, he's pretty cool at this. Pretty cool at this. What does that mean? Pretty good at this. I think I can do that too. So I started on Madden 16, just doing it on my own. I didn't make any videos yet. And then I started making them on Madden 17. I think Madden 17 was the first Madden I made rebuilds on. First one was of the Eagles, my favorite team. The quality of it was horrible, like the voice quality. The video quality hasn't really changed much, but the voice quality was terrible because I didn't have a microphone, like a good microphone. And I had 17 different video recordings of it because I just didn't want to go in and edit and cut away everything. So every time I would sim, or every time I would stop talking for a really long time, I would just cut it out. And now I just have like 2-hour-long recordings that I cut down. It was just kind of funny because that's just where it started, and it's progressed to here. I think I've gotten a lot better at rebuilding since the beginning. I know a lot more about football now and about schemes and all that stuff. I know which players would fit on which teams, really. So that's pretty much where it started. It's just a bunch of practice kind of got me to this point. Jose Rodriguez asks me, who do you think are the top 5 running backs and defensive backs, including safeties? So I'm going to answer this one by saying my top 5 running backs, my top 5 cornerbacks, and my top 5 safeties, because I don't want to group safeties and corners together. I'm just going to split them up, even though you said include them. My top 5 running backs. I think Le'Veon Bell would still be the best running back, in my opinion, even though he's not playing. I think he's just like super talented when he's on the field. So I'd say he's first. I used to think David Johnson was better. Maybe a couple years ago he was, but last year he didn't play, so you can't really say much about that. And then this year he's not playing too well. That could just be a product of the Cardinals being horrible, but I'm still going to rank Le'Veon Bell above him. Todd Gurley then I think is the second best. And then David Johnson, I still think he's good enough to be top 5. Ezekiel Elliott would come in 4th for me. And then I was thinking about number 5 for a little while. There's a bunch of really good running backs in the NFL, but I think I'm going to throw Alvin Kamara in at number 5. I think he's definitely good enough to be a top 5 running back at this point. He is extremely good at receiving. He might be the best receiving back in the NFL, and he's still a good, runner just as a running back. He has an incredible balance, incredible cut moves. He's fast, he's quick. He has pretty much mostly everything you'd want from a running back. He even has some power. He can truck pretty well. So I think they are my top 5 running backs. My top 5 cornerbacks. So it's kind of a tough decision for me who I think number 1 is. Like, Jalen Ramsey is incredibly good. But I don't know. I've always just thought that Casey Hayward was better. So I'm going to put Casey Hayward at number 1. And then Jalen Ramsey is like a close number 2 for me. I think Patrick Peterson would probably be number 3 in that list. I like Chris Harris a lot, so I want Chris Harris to be number 4, I think. I'm not putting like way too much thought into these, by the way. I'm just kind of listing them off on the top of my head. So I think Patrick Peterson, no, that's not him. Chris Harris, I think, would be number 4. And then probably Darius Slay. I think I'd have him number 5. It would probably be between like Darius Slay, Xavier Rhodes, Xavier Rhodes, or like AJ Bouye. I feel like those guys are all kind of up there. But I think I would put Big Play Slay at number 5. And now my top safeties. This is another pretty contested group. But I think Harrison Smith is the best safety. Earl Thomas is really, really close behind him. I'd probably throw him at number 2. Number 3, I think I'd put Eric Berry. Number 4, I don't know if this is going to come off as biased, but I really think Malcolm Jenkins is a top safety. You guys can disagree with me, do whatever you want, but he's my favorite player right now in the NFL. I think Malcolm Jenkins is a top safety. He tackles extremely well. He's such a secure tackler, and he can still play coverage very, very well. A lot of the times I watch the Eagles games, I notice him shutting down like the opponent's tight end if he's covering him, or just the slot receiver really if he's ever covering that. I think Malcolm Jenkins is a very, very talented safety. I would put him at number 4, and then probably to round off the list like Landon Collins. I think Landon Collins is probably a top 5 safety. Again, there's a bunch of really young guys who are up-and-comers who are probably going to be in that list pretty soon. Like, I think Derwin James could even be in this list at the end of this season. He's playing that well right now. Kevin Byard is tremendous. Keanu Neal maybe at the end of the year if he were healthy, you know, all season. There's a bunch of really good safeties, but I think those are my top 5. Horsey McHorseface asks me, will you ever play Pokemon on your channel? So I'm not sure if you're like referring to me playing Pokemon again, because I have played Pokemon on my channel in the past. It's just like, I'm not sure how many videos there were, maybe like 5 or 6. I feel like there might be more than that. There's like Pokemon Showdown videos with me and my friends, just messing around, trying to win some Pokemon matches. Pokemon's like my favorite game of all time. If you guys don't know that, I am a huge Pokemon fan. Yeah, I'm a huge nerd, whatever. I really like playing Showdown. I like the competitive side of it. I've kind of fallen off a little bit. I haven't played in quite some time. I have not played Showdown in a while, but maybe one day I'll get back into it. Randomly, I just get like really motivated to want to play Pokemon again. But I don't like forcing it on me because I don't want to get like tired of it or anything, so maybe someday in the future. KCast04 asks me, what was the first video game you ever played? The first game I can remember playing, I'm not really sure if this is the first one I ever did play, but it was for N64. It was like this Lego racing game where you like assemble you like build your cars in like some kind of like creator studio thing on the game, and then you race against a bunch of different Lego characters, and like every race, I don't know if I can't remember if it was every race or like every so often, like every 3 races maybe, you'd have like a special race against like a special character, and if you got to beat them, you like get their car. And I remember I could never beat this one guy. I don't remember what he looked like really, but it was in like a, I don't know, the map was like covered in lava. I think it was like red everywhere. Kind of reminded me of like the Nether from Minecraft almost. But that game was so much fun. I remember playing that on N64 a ton. I've played Pokemon since I was like 6 years old probably. There was that Lego game. I remember this scooter game. That's really random. I remember playing that a bunch for Nintendo. I can't really remember anything too much before that, but I think those are like the first few games I started to play. Chris R with the Flygon as your logo asked me, what would your favorite last meal be? Or your last or favorite meal be? Cream chip beef or boneless wings? Boneless wings. Cream chip beef is phenomenal, by the way, if you guys haven't tried it. It sounds kind of gross. I don't want to try to explain what it is. It doesn't sound good if you just kind of read what it is, but it's tremendous. It's breakfast, so it's tremendous. Breakfast food is the best food. I don't care what anyone else really says. Even though I chose boneless wings for this one, I guess I kind of contradicted myself. But boneless wings, I can just eat those forever, honestly. I could just keep popping in boneless wings just one after another and just not get tired of them. So yeah, I would definitely go with boneless wings. Evan Billington asks me, do you think the Browns have a promising future, or are they always going to be cursed no matter what? I think the Browns have an extremely bright future. They might have the best like young players in the entire NFL. You have Baker Mayfield, who's looking like a stud right now. Definitely worth the draft pick. I knew he was going to be worth the draft pick, but he's playing extremely well. Myles Garrett is one of the best defensive ends in the NFL already, I think. Like, he is playing out of his mind. He was definitely worth the pick, too. Denzel Ward is balling out. He is playing extremely well. They have other different players on their, defensive line who are insane. Like, Larry Ogunjobi is having a great season right now. It's kind of showing that they don't really need Danny Shelton. I thought it was a pretty bad trade for them to get rid of Danny Shelton and give him to the Patriots, but it's kind of working out. Jarvis Landry is turning out to be, a good receiver for this team. They're actually utilizing him the way he should be used, not the way the Dolphins misused him. Antonio Callaway is looking pretty nice. I mean, I think he's going to be having less reps going forward, but still, there's some potential there. David Njoku is looking like a good tight end, and they have a good offensive line already. And this team is super young, so I think they have a really bright future. I don't think they're going to be cursed forever. The last question I'm going to answer here is from Logan Tackett. It says, what position did you play in baseball, and what's your favorite NFL team? I'll answer the second part first. A lot of people ask me what my favorite NFL team is, and usually I could just point them to my banner, but I changed my banner, so it kind of makes sense why you guys might not know. I'm an Eagles fan. I say that occasionally in videos and stuff, but it used to be in my banner. There's nothing indicating that anymore. But yeah, I'm an Eagles fan. I've been an Eagles fan since I started watching football at the age of like 7 or 8, whatever I said earlier. I'm from Pennsylvania, so it's kind of like you're an Eagles fan, or occasionally you're a Giants fan, or you're a Steelers fan. That's pretty much the majority of people here. I pretty much just started liking this team, though, because my mom was a huge Eagles fan, and I always watched football games with her. And like I said earlier, the Jets were always on my dad is a Jets fan, and they were never on TV. That's what I meant to say. So we'd always watch the Eagles. So, yeah, I'm an Eagles fan. And position for baseball. I played baseball for, I want to say, like 11 years. Since I could start playing T-ball, if that even counts. When I was like 5 years old, I played T-ball, and then I stopped playing when I was like 17, so like 12 years. I was a pitcher mainly and a first baseman. The reason why I was a first baseman, though, is because I'm left-handed. So pretty much every team I was ever on was like, hey, you're left-handed, go play first base. That's pretty much just how it worked. So I was pretty much stuck there since I was like 9 years old. So I got kind of decent at the position because I was always playing first base. And I also pitched. I pitched a lot more once I moved up to like the bigger field, because then I could utilize like a pick-off move being left-handed. It was a lot of fun picking people off, especially the first year I moved up. Because there were like a ton of really overly confident base runners who just didn't know that I could pick them off. Like if I picked up my leg, I wasn't automatically throwing to the plate. I don't know. Baseball was a ton of fun. I don't watch baseball as much as I used to, and I don't watch it nearly as much as football, but playing baseball was so much fun to me. Thank you guys so much for all the support recently. Thanks for all the growth. It's awesome. Thank you to everyone who has, watched one of my videos and has thought that my content was good enough to subscribe. Thank you to Bangle once again. Thanks to Not the Expert, Bear Mobox, Jerome, any of those Madden guys who follow me on Twitter and are like kind of helping me out a little bit. Also, Horsey McHorseface. This isn't really a question, but he says face reveal. We want to see your beautiful chin. So there. Definitely a picture of me. I know I'm looking kind of thin, right? But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.